Love at second sight, the Mercedes 130 can only be recognized as part of the brand by real aficionados. On closer inspection, the little convertible saloon turns out to be a real oddball in the car maker's 100-year history. Where its brothers have the company's typical radiator grille, the 130 features a closed bonnet with no air inlets. That leads you to wonder, is the engine actually in the back? Correct. The Mercedes 130 is a real member of the rear engine species. The streamlined shape fashionable in the 30s caused the trend for rear-engine cars, which was followed by Mercedes engineers as well as Rumpler, Tatra, Porsche and Skoda. Our Type 130 is from 1935 and is a convertible saloon with fixed window frames. If you want to open the fabric roof, you'll need quite a bit of time. With a little practice and experience, the whole process goes quickly. Nonetheless, a stop at a red light is not long enough. The roof construction, unconventional from today's perspective, was extremely common in its day and popular with customers. As far as the eye can see, the compact Mercedes tempts you with many charming details which are typical of the 30s. Back then, the bumpers had to be massive chrome steel constructions. Equally typical of the era are the transverse leaf springs on the front axle. The front, with its stub-nosed look and lack of radiator in the bonnet, is unmistakable proof that the engine is in the back, so that means the boot is here in the front. Although you soon discover that everything is relative. After all, the Mercedes 130 doesn't have a luggage compartment in the true sense of the word. The spare wheel and toolkit take up too much space. The unconventional proportions of this little convertible saloon are due to the inline four-cylinder engine, situated lengthways behind the rear axle. Through this inlet, air is fanned over the water cooler in front of the engine. The 1.3-litre engine produces a gentle 26 horsepower, which is transferred to the rear wheels via a 3-speed gearbox. With this, the 1,000-kilo car can reach a good 90 kilometers per hour. Astonishingly, the engine runs with little vibration. The Mercedes 130 came onto the market as a normal saloon in 1934. There was also the interesting Type 150 Sports Roadster and the hardtop Sports Saloon, also a two-seater. From this and the very first Sundap experimental cars, you can easily see the origins of the later VW Beetle's shape. Without a doubt, Mercedes can be considered a pioneer. The first Volkswagen prototypes were completed in 1934, exactly the same year that Mercedes was already selling its little rear-engined car. But while the VW Beetle, designed by Ferdinand Porsche, ultimately became a mass-produced car and is still in production today, the Mercedes 130 was built in only limited numbers for just 2 years. In 1936, the company finally departed from the rear-engine concept, and with the successor, the 170, turned their attention to the standard front-engine construction. So our fully restored museum car is a rare Mercedes indeed. Worldwide, there are supposed to be less than 100 Type 130s left. At a good 4 meters long, the car provides room for 4 passengers. The instruments are functional, not luxurious. The 130 was, after all, intended as an affordable small car for ordinary people. In 1935, the convertible saloon cost 3,900 Reichsmarks, which wasn't very much money for a Mercedes, but that price wasn't particularly cheap at the time either. Once on the road with the pre-war Mercedes, you quickly succumb to its charms. In a cheerful outing through small side roads with the top down, a breath of the past swiftly blows through the car. Of course, the Mercedes 130 demands a sedate driving style with plenty of foresight. Steering and gear changes need to be tackled forcefully. The thin tires and antiquated suspension give it a tendency to swing out at the back. Today, the rear-engine car is long off the roads for Mercedes. Only Porsche has remained loyal to this concept, but that's another story entirely.